Hey world, long time no see. It's August 11th, 2015. I've been on testosterone for a little over 9 months. I've kind of been on hiatus, and I could tell you the reason is because I moved, which is true. But a move doesn't usually preoccupy you for this many months. Let me tell you about my grandmother. We always lived fairly close to my grandparents, my maternal grandparents. So we saw them often. We were all very close. I was particularly close with my granny. She's really sharp and bright. She very much likes learning about new stuff and wants to take it all in. And she's a kind and wise person. When I was a kid, we spent a lot of time together. She humored me and played hide and seek with me, even though she was old and couldn't move around as well as I did. And we doodled, drew pictures together, and before she started going blind, we used to go on like walks through the woods together. We went on a couple of pretty significant adventures. Like one time we just kind of wandered around and we were heading uphill and I didn't know where we were, but we were out for a few hours and I got thirsty and we found a brook and it had clear water running over pebbles and rocks, and Granny said that that was good to drink, and she explained how water gets cleaned with sand and pebbles and stuff. So we drank from the brook. And there was another time, a few years later, we decided to go adventuring the other way into what we thought was fields and what turned out to be swamps. It was very hard to trudge through all that. And there were so many raspberry bushes, my legs were totally cut up. And when we got back to our house, we just sat on the edge of the tub and disinfected our cuts. I remember when I was in grade 10, when depression first hit me. There were these 3 idiots in 9th grade who were with me on the bus home, and they always gave me a hard time. So I started taking a different bus and going to Granny's instead. And I did that every day for the rest of the school year. And we would just sit around and talk about whatever. And we stayed like that. I mean, I always told her about everything, including my ex-boyfriend who turned out to be an abusive waste of oxygen. And I'm saying all this to illustrate exactly the kind of relationship we had. Because I moved here in May, at the beginning of May. I'm in another city, I'm in another province. So I'm pretty far. I moved here because most of my good friends live here. The day before I moved, I picked up the U-Haul and went over to Granny and Papa's place, just so I could see them before I left. Because Papa is pushing 90. If he isn't 90 already, I don't remember. Papa was taking a nap, so I sat at the table with Granny and we talked about whatever, like we usually do. She seemed a little reserved, but that happens sometimes when she's preoccupied with other stuff, so I didn't really think too hard on it. I just babbled like I usually do. But I wanted to see Papa, so I left and went into the room. He was awake. Talked with him, and he remarked on my voice being deeper, and I said something to the effect of, well, yeah, I mean, I've been taking testosterone. I told you guys about this. And he described it as foolishness. After I was done talking to him, I went back out into the kitchen and found Granny at the table, and she was upset. And she said, I tried to get past it. I really did, but I can't. And I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, moving? She shook her head. And I said, me being a boy? And she just burst into sobbing. So I hugged her, and she went on, reiterating that she didn't like it. She was having a hard time with it. I said, but it's a good thing. And she said, well, not for me. She said, I feel like someone has died. She said, I had a granddaughter and she was very special to me. And I didn't know what to say, because saying things like, I'm right here, or I'm still the same person, are things she already knows. So I didn't say anything. Before I left, I asked her what her postal code was so I could write to her. She gave it to me, and I still haven't written to her. I don't know what to write. I don't know how to respond to that. I shouldn't have to hold my grandmother while she grieves my death. It's not the first time I felt like a ghost, but I never thought she'd be one who would make me feel like that. Sending the message that she doesn't want me the way I am. And I'm not angry at her or my grandfather. I mean, I'm sad, obviously. I am a bit angry at the society that taught them that gender was so important and central to a person's personality and like who they are, but it doesn't mean I'm not me. Gender doesn't change my interests or my values, or it doesn't change what I'm capable of. So that is more the reason why I haven't been recording vlogs or editing the one I did record but haven't put up. Stuff like that. And it's not just that. It's how I had to sit in the staff room at my new job and listen to my coworkers ridicule Caitlyn Jenner for being trans. The fact that, in the States anyway, 1 in 12 transgender women are murdered. And if you make them trans women of color, that number increases to 1 in 8. It's having a large part of my identity subject to international ridicule, as well as putting me at risk for violence. And I know none of my friends would ask this, but for the ignorant folks who are like, well, if it's that difficult, why transition at all? And I guess that's a fair question, and the answer is because living as someone I'm not, living a lie, is worse, is more painful, and more dangerous. I'm not gonna promise a vlog next month, or even that I'm going to edit the other one. All that stuff I mentioned really doesn't help my depression. It doesn't help my post-traumatic stress disorder. I've been here in this place where all my good friends are, trying to have as much fun as humanly possible, because I just don't want to think about any of the stuff that makes me feel like crap, even though inevitably I do. I can't deal with it, so I don't. Anyway, thanks for listening to me ramble about my grandmother. I'll see you next time, whenever that is.